Thank you. Woo, I'm a little nervous. Thanks. Thanks. All right. I'm a little nervous to go second. I thought I'd like have the juices flowing, so forgive me, but I got it. I had a baby. Shit, I can do this, right? Sorry. So actually last year this day, I was standing in front of some of you at Doyle's at the last Birth Slam. I was 40 weeks and 5 days pregnant. According to the Brigham, I was late, right? I was post-dates because the Brigham has this machine that at the time that my baby was a zygote, smaller than the tip of my fingernail, they told me that the baby was going to come at 5 o'clock on April 23rd. It was April 28th, and the Brigham was calling, "Where's the baby?" But I was cool because we had planned a home birth. And so the Brigham was just like a side thing that I had going on the side. Yeah, it's good to keep the big things like the side thing. And so I was feeling great. It was the 28th. It was 2 weeks after the marathon, and we had been in the grandstands at the finish line, my husband and I, and our big belly, and we had to run, and it was dramatic and traumatic, and we spent the next week kind of hoping that the baby didn't come on time because we needed to just cool out. I'm sure as many of you did in that week. And so we did just that. We turned off the TV, we unplugged Facebook, and we spent the next week kind of getting ourselves ready and assuring and creating peace in our home because we were planning a home birth and letting this little one know that our home was a safe place, and we were terrified with what was going on in Boston at the time. So that week I walked a lot. I had lunch with any friend that would play hooky. I was hanging out, and my husband was going to work every morning to the questions of, "Where's that baby? Did your wife have the baby yet?" And he's like, "No, because I'm here." Like, I wouldn't actually be here if we had a newborn. And so 10 days ticked by, and the Brigham kept calling. And our home birth midwife, on the other hand, was like, "Babies come when they're ready." She's total like hippie midwife. She has like vagina earrings, like totally. She wrote me a letter from our baby, like that I'll come when I'm ready. And she said she had delivered a baby up, to 44 weeks gestation. So I was like, hey, some midwives do it, right? I kind of said that though. I was like, so I don't really want to go to 44, but I don't feel like at 5 o'clock on 42 weeks that, I needed the Brigham knocking at the door. So it was a really tenuous time because we were trying to just respect that our baby knew when they needed to come. And we also felt like we were at the intersection of these two worlds, right? These two practices, these two ideologies. And in those days, after the 23rd of April, which was my due date, we felt like we were in a culture war, really. We had planned a home birth. We had a birth box in the hallway. It was full of things that this book I read told me that I needed. It was called How Big is a Placenta Bowl and Other Questions You Might Ask When Planning a Home Birth. And I bought it, and I followed the list, and I had all the things in the box. And I had nested for weeks. I had cleaned the grout with a toothbrush and filled the birth box and washed the linens and the cloth diapers and free and clear detergent. Like, we were ready. And the days kept ticking on, and we had a birth plan typed out, and it was emailed to my mother, who would be at our birth, and to my sister, and to our home birth midwife and her partner, and it was taped on the fridge. And we bought a birth tub, like a 150-gallon joint that we blew up. It was in the corner of the living room, and we were planning to birth in the tub. And fast forward to Friday, May 3rd, and it was no longer April. That was also shocking to me. And I go to the Brigham, I get a biophysical profile to just keep them off my back. I get home, my mom comes up and she says, "We're gonna have a baby this weekend," right? So contractions, I'm feeling crampy, but I didn't know to call them contractions. And my mom comes in from Connecticut, we make her a plate of food, pour both of us a glass of wine, because I wasn't past that at that moment of sitting there with my mom and my husband. And we put on this really whack movie, and about 9:30 on that Friday night, and an hour later, I'm like, "Turn this movie off." And I'm rolling on the birth ball in the living room. And my mom, it's worth mentioning, is a midwife. She was planning to only be our doula. And Leon is calling the midwife who's in Cambridge, like, yep, I'm on my way. How are things going? Yep, she can still talk through contractions. 9:30, we start a movie. 10:30, turn the movie off. Between 10:30 and 11:30, Mom and Leon could tell the story much better than I could, because at this moment, I'm pacing our very small apartment, speaking in tongues, saying words like superfragicalix, that began with an F, right? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, but it began with an F. It was like that kind of word. And I'm pacing our apartment, and Mom says, "Does it feel like you have to poop?" And I said, "This is not poop." So my mom shifts from doula to midwife, because our midwife is not there, and she was really respecting the boundaries, wanted to be our doula. She says, "I'm going to check you." So I tell my husband, sit on the couch. I hold him around the waist. Mom checks me. She says, "I can see the head. Breathe. Do not push." Okay. She didn't say I couldn't roar. So I grabbed my husband around the waist, and I roared like a lion. And my mom caught our baby. Just like that. Midwife is at the door. My sister comes. Midwife comes. And there you have it. 2 hours later, we drank wine and all went to bed, the three of us.